Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm Paul Gustafson, and this is Healthy Hypnosis. If you're new to the show, this is a show that helps to educate and enlighten you on the serious-minded, helpful side of the field of hypnotherapy. And occasionally, we're really blessed the opportunity to have a former client on the show as a guest, and that's what we have today. I want to introduce Dawn, who came to me for some gastric band hypnosis sessions, and you live to tell the story.
I live to tell the story.
Yeah.
I lived through the surgery. It was painless.
It was painless. Good. That's the best kind of surgery there is.
That's right. It was wonderful.
Gastric band hypnosis has become really popular in the last few years, and you came, was it a few months ago?
It was about mid-March, so it's about a month and a half now.
Okay.
I've been on the journey.
Okay. What were your thoughts? Had you been thinking about hypnosis for a while, or?
Well, to be honest, no. I was thinking that I needed to get some control over some health issues that I had been having. I knew my weight was creeping up. I had lost some weight a few years ago through a program at the St. Elizabeth's Hospital. And it was boomeranging a little bit. And I went to my doctor and said, I'm really struggling. I need some help. So he did some lab work, and my labs were way up. So the number, the A1C number, which is your diabetic number,
right,
it's your sugar levels over a 3-month period, was in a range that is dangerous.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just a feeling like I need to get control. It was my doctor telling me you need to get control. So it was actually luck. Lady Luck intervened and kind of brought me to you.
How did that come about?
Well, my husband and I and some of our friends had decided to go down to Foxwoods for the day. And that day I happened to get a coupon through my email, and it was advertising your program that I could get some gastric band. That immediately interested me, gastric band hypnosis. I'm thinking, I don't know if that's going to work.
It's pretty out there stuff,
It was
isn't it?
pretty out there.
Yeah.
But I made a little wager with myself, and I said, well, if I come home from Foxwoods with more in my pocket than what I left with, then I'll give it a try. What do I have to lose? And I am so glad that I came back from Foxwoods that day with a little bit more than I left with. So yeah, I signed on and I came up and visited you. You made an appointment, I believe it was for the next week. It was really pretty quick, so I didn't even have time to think, well, geez, maybe I should back out of this.
Right.
And I guess I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't been hypnotized before, and it was very relaxing,
Yeah,
of course.
of course.
And felt really good.
Yeah.
And right away you put me at ease, and it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Was it easy to get into the flow of hypnosis?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, very relaxing. It was like just relaxing.
Yep.
And I guess I didn't realize how quickly
Things change.
things changed, because that very day I found it kind of effortless to reduce my portion size, push the plate away.
Less food, less weight.
Less food, less weight. It was just kind of, I don't need any more. And just left feeling more satisfied after eating, and a lot less stress triggers to eat.
And we did 3 sessions, right?
Yep.
And the first session focused on cutting the connection to the unhealthy patterns, right?
Yep. Cutting the cable, getting the big scissor, and
Yeah.
making it go away.
And then going through your pre-op testing.
Yep. Which is similar to some of the testing I've had lately, not as pre-op, but just in finding out what's going on with my blood sugar levels. And I have a strong family history of diabetes. Both parents,
Mm-hmm.
siblings have it. And actually my grandmother had it in an era when it probably wasn't treated as it is now. And she lost her legs.
Yep.
So it's a bullet that I really want to dodge, if I can possibly dodge it. And I asked my doctor, he said, if this A1C level doesn't start going in the correct direction, then it will be unconscionable of me not to give you medication to treat you.
Yeah.
And I said, boy, I don't want to go on medication if I can avoid it, because I'll never come off.
Yeah.
And he
It's
said,
for life.
well, yeah, and he said, oh no, sometimes people come off. And I said, realistically, how many people come off once they've gone on? And he said, really only 10%. So it's a wonderful treatment for people that need it. But if you
Yeah.
can possibly get a handle on it without surgery, without medication, without resorting to extreme measures, then why not try to take that step? And I really feel strongly that this is working for me and it's going to be helpful for me.
So we went into you came back for visit 2, which was the Imagine surgery.
Yes.
Can you describe to the viewers what that experience was like?
Well, again, it was very restful. There was no fear associated with it. So I think if somebody was actually going in for surgery, there would be trepidation and concern about
Sure.
post-operative pain and things like that. So I
Nausea.
wasn't coming to you knowing, I was knowing that I was going to go through this process, but that it wasn't going to be painful at all. So again, it was a very relaxing, meditative experience, and within the hypnotic state, it was very, very real to me in my mind. There were the sounds of the surgeons and the nurses talking in the operating
Beeping
room.
of the cardiac monitor in the
Right, the
background.
monitors, and so it was.
So you felt like you were there.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Very, very real experience.
I can't recall if you felt any restriction from that gastric band or not.
Well, you gave me a golf ball and said this is a new size. So I was physically holding that golf ball at the time. So that's a conscious reminder
Yeah.
of how much is probably a healthy portion to eat. So, I am looking at my food now
Are you
as
really?
like, would that fit in a golf ball? Well, maybe not.
That fit
Maybe
in
I
a
should
golf
push the
ball,
plate
right.
away.
So do you find yourself just pushing food away, or are you just taking smaller portions?
I definitely am taking smaller portions. And one of the things that was really noticeable right away for me was I formerly had this dialogue. When I'd wake up in the morning, it would be like a radio station on in my head saying, what are we going to eat? What are we going to eat for breakfast? When's
Right, I
breakfast
remember we
coming?
talked
Breakfast,
about this.
breakfast. And I'd eat, and immediately, I might have been satisfied physically from what I ate, but the radio station would switch to the what's for lunch station. And then that would be constant until I ate again. And then it would just
Right.
keep going and going. And that, from the very first session, and you didn't even address that,
We didn't even talk about it. I didn't
No.
even know about it.
but it was like there was some subconscious switch that I guess I knew internally needed to be
Yeah.
switched off. And so that has been a real benefit to the hypnosis, that right away that sort of inner dialogue that was totally food-based has
So you have control of your thoughts now.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's made a big difference. So I'm not constantly thinking about what am I going to eat, what am I going to eat, what am I going to eat. I eat when I'm really hungry.
So you listen to your body now, and it tells you when to eat, and it tells you when to stop eating.
Right.
Simple concept, isn't
Yep.
it?
And making healthier choices about what I'm eating, not just thinking, oh, well, I'll just grab something at McDonald's, thinking, wow, drive another half a mile and there's a Whole Foods and I can get one of those awesome spinach salads there. And
So these are the kind of thoughts you're having now, and the
Much
choices you're making.
healthier choices, smaller portion size. Yep.
Yeah. Now, within the hypnosis session, were you having images and thoughts about this new version of you as you continue to do your session work? Are you processing how you want to be? And
Yeah, I think that not so much physically, although that is a big benefit, to have your clothes fit nicer and to look prettier in pictures. That's a great benefit. But for me, where it truly is a matter of life and death and my health, then that I was really trying to focus on that, like having a better lifestyle, being healthier, enjoying. My husband and I love to travel, and the places that we'll go and be able to experience because will make a healthy lifestyle change.
So these are the types of thoughts you're having now.
Absolutely.
Really. Yeah.
That's the eyes on the prize, is focusing on the better health and better life
Yeah.
that will come with that better health.
You didn't feel like you had control before, but now you do?
I had no control.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, most people that go through traditional dieting go through that struggling process.
If I have been through so many diets, if I started listing them, it would take the rest of the program.
Yeah.
And I think I just recently heard that the average 41-year-old woman has been on over 60 diets in her lifetime. So I've got 10 years on that, and I can assure you that I've tried all 60 of those diets. And if I just lost the weight of the books that I bought, it would have been worth it. It would have been worth every penny. But
I love that.
yeah, well, sadly it doesn't work that way.
No.
Things would work for a few days. I'd get bored with eating the oat bran or whatever crazy thing was on that diet, and the book would go on the shelf. So I just recently got rid of all of them when I moved, and it was kind of sad. I put them in a big pile and was like, oh, that's
I recently had a woman who came in for her second session telling me it's not working, there's a problem, and I used to take the bait, but not anymore, because most clients would come in with those kind of statements. They're not accurate, and this is the case with her. And the reason she thought it wasn't working is because there was no struggle. She wasn't going through agony.
Yeah. That was the thing that to me was so astonishing, that it was so effortless. I didn't need to think about it. I didn't need to weigh any food or run a mile. I just needed to live, and my mind was helping me make the decision.
And there are millions and millions of healthy, fit people who enjoy cheesecake once in a while, and they live in a balanced lifestyle so that they're healthy and fit, and you don't need to go to extremes.
Yeah, or you could just eat a bite of something too, and not necessarily eat the whole cheesecake.
Yeah. And then in the third session, you went back to the surgeon's office to get your band adjusted.
Band adjustment, yes, that's interesting.
Now, was it tightened or loosened? I don't know how you used that session.
Well, I maybe tightened up a little bit, because I was feeling like, wow, this is really working now, so let's tighten that band a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's continuing to help and work.
So what could possibly stand in your way of getting where you need to be?
Honestly, I don't feel like anything's going to stop me from...
Just you, right?
Yeah, just me. I feel like I'm going to achieve my goals and achieve my health goal and impress my doctor and have him say, now what's that hypnotist number that you went to? He has a lot of patients that struggle with the same things that I'm struggling with.
What does he have to say about this journey you've been on?
Well, I think that he feels that that's a good and safe way to proceed. I don't know how skeptical or non-skeptical he is about it, but it would be awfully nice to show him.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I agree with you. Let's show him.
But I think where I came into it not really knowing a lot about hypnosis and not really expecting too much, I think that this is a really good thing, and I've been happy to tell my friends about it and say, this is working for me. I don't know if it'll work for you, but if it has any of the success that it's had for me, I think it will be a benefit to you. And what do you have to lose?
Yeah. The weight's not the problem, is it? It's the
mind.
Thought,
Change your mind. Yeah, exactly.
That's the frustration with dieting, because it's all symptom-based. They're just chasing the symptoms. It's like a physician treating appendicitis with pain medicine. The problem is the thought and how we think and how we frame our view of life and nutrition.
Yeah, and I really was astonished at how effortless resetting the mindset was.
That's a good word too, because that's what hypnosis does. It gives you access to the reset button to sever the connection to all the junk that you've been controlled by.
Right.
That's been cycled and patterned for years till the roots of those patterns get so thick, long, and strong that you're powerless to consciously make changes.
Yeah, and that's just like that big cable that you talked about, that there's decades now for me of unhealthy habits, unhealthy eating, mindless eating. And that was in the very first session to cut that cable. And I could really visualize this big, heavy cable that I was dragging around with me. And the cutting of it was very liberating. And that was like, I felt like the switch was flipped.
It's truly amazing, and all you have to do is access this daydream level of thought, a place that we float in and out of every day, most of us.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty familiar with it because I'm an artist. That's what I do for a living. And part of being an artist is kind of getting into that, the river stream, it's often called. It's a stream of consciousness where your most creative thoughts happen and the best connections happen. So for me, I think that maybe it wasn't all that difficult to get into a pretty...
This is a place you visited every time you get into your art.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and it doesn't feel dangerous or scary or like somebody else is in the driver's seat.
Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Is this a process that helps you to tap into new control that you didn't previously know you had?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a little surprising too. I'm sure everybody has had the experience that you're driving home from work and you're thinking about the next day, and all of a sudden you're at home and you're not quite sure how you got from
no
work.
memory of the drive.
Right, that's a little scary. You know, was I out of control? You're cutting people off. But that is kind of a hypnotic state that you're in right there. So
Right.
you're still on a conscious level connected with other things, but
You got it.
you know, it wasn't a dangerous state to be in. So if there was anyone that was having trepidation or concern about even having hypnosis, that you were going to brainwash them or something while they were out, it's not like that. You're cognizant and aware of what's going on.
Hypnosis is not something you can just throw at people. It's not. It certainly isn't a power that I have, right?
Well, I don't know. I think you maybe do have a power.
Put people at ease,
Right.
explain the process,
Exactly.
and throw the right words in their direction so that they can take them and attach wonderful meaning and
Yeah.
create the sensations and the images.
Well, if you don't have a power, then you certainly have a gift at it, because it was a very positive experience.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and you're continuing to listen to sessions, right?
Yep.
Yeah, daily.
No, I slacked off a little
Yeah.
bit, but yeah, I do listen, and I've been. What I'll do is I'll go even back to the first one,
Yeah.
and then the second and the third, and sort of listen to them in a cycle, and that seems to really help cement the experience in my mind.
Have there been many clients describe unexpected clarity or freedom and relief in areas completely unrelated to what they came to get hypnosis for? Is that something that you're familiar with or have experienced?
Well, yeah, I would say so. I think that just being more mindful of things.
It's a great word.
Yeah. And that is an awareness. I do feel specifically more aware of my health and what I'm kind of doing to myself.
Yeah. Now you do what you're doing for yourself, right?
Right, right. And I'm really excited about that. I'm looking forward to that as I enter the second half of the century of my life.
Yeah.
If my life's a century, then
Right.
I've put one half behind me,
Yeah.
and the second half is a new journey. Very
So
exciting.
you've made some big changes.
Yeah, made some big changes.
Changes that, if you considered before hypnosis, might have seemed unattainable.
I
Or
was worried
temporary?
that they were unattainable. I worried much more about the outcome, and sometimes that turned out to be the most self-defeating aspect of going on a new diet. That I'd almost begin the diet with the anticipation that it was going to fail miserably.
Did you have those fears after the first session?
Not at all. No, it was like a lot of that was just like gone.
Of course we had the cable. We had a literal disconnect in that first session.
Yeah.
But you felt,
Well, yeah, and that was part of the pattern of unhealthy thought that led me to be overweight. seriously overweight, that my health was compromised.
Yeah.
So that was a big burden to let go of.
It's amazing how quickly that and even for the sessions that I do that don't involve a cable and shears, most clients do on the first visit experience that type of relief and freedom, separation from whatever problems they carried through the door.
Well, it wasn't something that I was immediately aware of. I just, I left your office and I didn't feel like a completely different person or anything. And that, it's like, well, should I feel like a completely different person? Where I hadn't had hypnosis before, I wasn't really sure what I should be feeling.
How it was going to play out.
Yeah. But I didn't try to overthink it. I just sort of let it naturally happen. But it was maybe a day and a half or 2 days later that I was like, wow, the radio station's not on anymore. That was always... That
was the first big change you noticed?
That was the first thing I really noticed that was different. And then I just noticed how much easier it was. Like if I, for instance, go into Whole Foods, which is, it's sort of become a regular stop of mine, that I'll go out of my way to go there and get the good stuff because I want to eat something really good. If I'm going to eat,
was that one of the big changes you made?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want junk. I don't want a cheeseburger. I don't want a box of fries or snarfing down a candy bar or something. I really don't want it.
It doesn't appeal to you now.
Not at all.
But it did before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's candy bar, right?
I hear you. I'm with you.
But now, I'll enjoy a piece of chocolate. I haven't stopped enjoying the good stuff.
That's the key. That's the key.
But I do, if I want to go get my lunch, I want to have my nice salad from Whole Foods Market. And even going to a place like Whole Foods, which is full of good foods, they've got a whole aisle that's chocolate. That I can walk right by the aisle that has the chocolate in it and walk right to my salad aisle and get the stuff that I know is good and healthy for me without really thinking, oh, there's cookies down there. I don't need to go down there.
No, and once in a while you can have a cookie. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
It's just not the rule, it's the exception.
Exactly. Well, a funny thing happened very, very shortly. I think it might have been after my second session that someone had given my husband and I a gift card for Fridays. Fridays that's a treat, it's a good place. So we went in there and they have a deal that you get an appetizer and an entree and then you get a dessert. And we both got our appetizer to share and then the entree. And we were too full to have the dessert, so we said, we'll take the cheesecake to go. So I put it in the refrigerator when we got home, and it was about a week later when we were getting ready to do trash day that I realized the cheesecake was still there. It wasn't like I had missed it. Every time you open the refrigerator, it's sitting right there like a pretty jewel box. But I never really got the effort together to eat it.
The impulse was gone.
Yeah, the impulse to eat to snarf down the cheesecake, and I think that's the first piece of cheesecake that's ever been thrown away from my house. So that was a milestone.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
Very cool. So I'm guessing that you're probably pretty glad you pursued hypnosis.
I am so glad I did. I am really, really grateful that I did.
What's the downside for anybody to pursue something like this?
Oh, I don't see how there could be a downside. I really don't. I think the hypnosis, I can see how it can help people in so many areas of their life, wherever they are feeling out of control and unhappy, whether it be stress at work or fears that they might want to conquer. I have friends that say, oh, it's so nice that you go on trips, but I'd never get on a cruise or I'd never get on a plane. And I think, well, why not? Why wouldn't you do that? But it was probably, the same sort of things holding them back. That scared person inside that's saying you can't do that. And that's maybe the same sort of thing that's happening with people that need to lose weight. That, like I said, every diet I started, I sort of started with the idea that I was going to fail miserably. And then I wasn't very surprised when I did.
Yeah. So now if you've got friends who are fearful of taking trips, you know where to send them. We'll fix that problem.
I know where to send them.
Yeah. We'll open up the vault, unplug those unwanted fears, and plant new seeds that support freedom.
And I think that there's so many ways that this can help, and it's virtually painless, like the surgery that you gave me.
It's all in the mind.
All in the mind.
It's all in the mind. And briefly, before we finish up, we did some self-hypnosis in our sessions. Did you find that to be helpful?
I really have found that to be very helpful. Like most women my age, I have trouble sometimes sleeping in the middle of the night. And when I get up, I wake my husband up, and I don't like to wake him up because he's got a terrible job that he needs his beauty rest. So when I wake up, most of the time, sometimes I still get up at night and kind of walk into the other room, try to press the reset button that way. But the self-hypnosis has been really helpful to just help me kind of roll over and
You put yourself right into that meditative state.
calm myself. And because what happens, I don't know if this happens for everybody that wakes up in the middle of the night, but I have a list of I've got to do this, and I've got to do this, and I've got to take the car here, and I've got to pick up this, and then I have to do this.
Sure.
And when you're through with the list, you start over at the first item on the list and go over it, over it, and over it, over it, and it just, you don't really accomplish anything. It's not helpful at all. It just is like this loop that keeps happening that's horrible.
The loop has been severed.
The loop. So the self-hypnosis has been
Beautiful.
great for that. I appreciate that too.
Well, I just want to tell you I appreciate you coming on. It's been
I'm
a quick
thrilled to be
30
here.
minutes, hasn't it?
No way. Did you put me out?
Yeah, we've been in a trance the whole time. This has been great. I'm so happy for you. I'm glad to have met you, and I really enjoyed working with you.
Yeah, well, I hope to come back, Paul, when I've achieved some goals and to give you the full report.
That would be awesome. That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
I like that.
You're a hypnotic ambassador.
I will be.
Who knew? Who knew? Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks,
I really
Paul.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Folks, this has been Healthy Hypnosis. Please keep us in mind down the road because we got some great shows coming up. I'm Paul Gustafson, and we'll see you next time.